Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. As we're sponsored by Shalom Fogel, Leonishmas Yaakov Zev ben Yehuda Arya, Rivka bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam bas Gad, Yosef ben Tzion ben Yaakov Zev, Lefu Shalem for Moshe Arya ben Miriam, exclusive Chai Tzivya bas Shoshana Gittel, she should find a good shidduch. By Baruch Ian, Leonishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba, Esther bas Yona, Abram ben Shmuel HaKoyen, Lefu Shalem for Liba bas Anya, for Zivik Hagen, for Batya bas Sarah, for everything wonderful for Yosef Shmuel ben Miriam with good health, and for all those that are waiting children should be blessed, healthy mommy, healthy baby, especially Ariel and Lior bas Elza Rivka. We're going to learn for Yochai ben Ruchama, Moshe ben Esther Fadl, Aaron ben Sarah, Nachman Yaakov ben Sarah,
Mordechai Tzvi ben
Ruchana, Nechama Sarah, Bas Miriam,
Chaya Freda bas Rachel
Rivka,
and my mother, Leah bas Edelminka.
Leah bas Edelminka. They should have a refuah shalema b'sech she'achel Yisrael.
Chaim ben Sion.
Chaim
Ben Sion.
Tzion.
Ben Yona.
Chaim ben Yona. What?
I want to give you two names. One for Refuah Shalema, Yaakov and Esther Malka.
Yaakov and Esther Malka.
And my father is your side tonight. And Chaim Yosef and Yechiel Mechel Ali.
Chaim Yosef and Yechiel Mechel Alevi. Stephen Holtzman's father is Neshama Shalem and Aliyah. He should be a Melech Yosher for his family, for all of us, and all of Klal Yisrael.
So we can just add one more name for a friend of ours, Rachamim Chaim. The other name, Rachamim Chaim ben Gloria.
Rachamim Chaim ben Gloria should have a refuah shalema b'sech she'achel Yisrael. David Menachos Halevi ben Rachel should have a refuah shalema b'sech she'achel Yisrael. Okay, wonderful to see everybody. Again 9? What is this? What's going on here? Oh, no. Barish is here. I think we have 10.
Barish is here.
Yeah. I think we have 10 because we have Michal, Avram, and Barish. So.
And Danny.
And Danny. Yeah, we have a minion. And that's all because our birthday boy made it back. How'd you do that? No, they ate it all. They ate it all. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? By the way, you're talking about birthdays. Blowing out the candle and making a wish is very, very, very wrong to do. There are some that hold that it's mamish u'b'chukaysayim lo yisei leichu. Of course, since we paskin that b'chukaysayim lo yisei leichu is only by things of avodah zara, so it wouldn't be a lav of b'chukaysayim lo yisei leichu. But blowing out a candle and making a wish is mamish the opposite of what is the practice of Yidden. Yidden light candles. Ner lekim nishmas adam. The candle represents the neshama. We never blow out a candle. As a matter of fact, it's brought down al pi minhagei Yisrael that you should never use your mouth to blow out a fire. In other words, what we do is we go like this with our hand. Or if you look in shuls by the Amid, they have a piece of metal that they put on top of the fire to put out the fire. We never blow out fires because to us a fire represents the neshama. And the idea of blowing out a candle and making a wish, what kind of a thing is it that we're making a wish on blowing out the candle? That's close to nichush. We don't do that. So the whole idea of blowing out the candle and making the wish should be snuffed out. Really, no pun intended. I remember that one of my daughters had a birthday party in school, and the minig is that you buy a cake for the class, and they make a little birthday, and a parent, if they want, could come. And my wife couldn't come for some reason, so I went down, and I went instead. And the teacher, who was a mora of chashivas, Mel knows her, everybody in Staten Island knows her, mora of chashivas, put on, my daughter was 4, she put on 4 candles, and she said, okay, we're going to light it, and everybody is going to make a wish. So I said, stop. And I said, I want to explain that the Mora doesn't know this, but as Jews, we never do that. And, the Mora said to me, in all honesty, she never thought about it. It's an American custom to, blow out candles and make a wish. And from that time on, they stopped in the whole school from doing it. Anyway, you see, when you tune into this daf, you never know what you're going to hear.
Miller altogether was against the birthday party.
Well, Ramosha was very happy on his birthday. The Ben Ish Chai says that a person's mazel is very strong on a birthday. So the idea of making a birthday party is actually an expression of Haida'ah. It's actually an expression of thanks to Hashem that we reached. Rabbi Wein said that he always had a custom that on his birthday he would try to accept something new to do for the coming year, as an appreciation to Hashem that he was zeicher to have another year, so he would do something, he would accept upon himself something new. And in the incredible words of Rav Shach, whenever you accept something upon yourself new, he says one thing you should make sure of: make it small. Don't make it big, because if you make it big, like for example, Marshall would make a Kabbalah that he'll have more kavanah when he makes a shahakal on bourbon. More kavanah.
He will miss next game on hockey.
No, don't touch Marshall's hockey. That's a big Kabbalah already. We're not talking about big Kabbalahs. We're talking about small Kabbalahs. Okay, so we are. What?
People give out brachos on their birthday.
That's right. If you remember Miriam Libby, she would get calls already early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, people calling her for a bracha to make sure that they didn't miss out. And it was a joke by me, but Miriam Libby was serious. Miriam Libby used to ask me, can she keep 72 for giving out brachas? That she should be able to give brachas until 72 minutes. She literally, towards the end of her life, the last 10 years of her life, she literally was a little bit like a rebbe, and the phone would ring the whole day for her brachas. It was really something. I'm sure Shelley got brachas from my wife on her birthday. Shelley, it's pretty nice ceiling you have in your house. You upgraded your house. Yeah.
Rabbi, we have an actual candle snuffer for the candles.
What?
We have a candle snuffer. for the candle.
Right. Well, it's because you're not supposed to blow out. You don't use your mouth, which is your breath, to blow out the candle that represents the neshama. You don't do that. That's just not a Yiddish thing to do.
Didn't Trump deport all his candle snuffers?
Yes, snuffers.
This is not a Yiddish product.
And matches also?
This is an old-fashioned,
Wow, that's so interesting. I never saw that.
it's an American or European custom.
A candle snuffer. Wow.
Yeah, so it's a little puff. Yeah, it's a golden candle.
No, in shul they have actually a piece of metal that the shamish goes and he puts it down on the light that's lit by the amid to put it out, just not to blow it out with the mouth. Okay, we are holding bottom line of Daf Yud Amid Beis. So we learned in the Mishnah that the kmitza cannot be adulterated with any foreign material. If you took kmitza and there came up a pebble, or gager melech, or salt, or kairet levana, or a granule of frankincense, puzzle. It has to be a full handful of flour. So, top line of Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. Top line, Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. So the Gemara says, Kol Hani Lamali. Why do we need all three of these? Why do we have to mention pebble, salt, and frankincense? So the Gemara says, Tzricha. Di'itan etzrar, that's Mishum Delav Bas HaKrovahi. It's because it doesn't belong on the Mizbeach at all. So that's a very foreign element. So that, of course, disqualifies it. Aval melech, the Bas HaKrovahi, but salt, which goes on the Mizbeach, we know that they take the handful and then they put salt on the handful and put it on the Mizbeach. And therefore, since it does go on the Mizbeach, therefore I might think it's not a problem. Aval melech, the Bas HaKrovahi, ema tiskasha. V'itan melech, and if it says salt, like ikva badi mincha meikara, it is not part of the mincha from the beginning. It's only added subsequently, and it's only put on the kmitza, not on the full mincha. As it says in the parentheses, a lot of parentheses in this Masechta. And by the way, the rule is that circular parentheses, semicircular parentheses, we don't read. Brackets, we do read.
Is it possible that Hashem wasn't learned as many times as Lashon Nezikin, so it wasn't edited as vigorously? Is that possible?
It could be. It could be. It could be. I mean, for sure. It's we learned earlier that Rive of their learning was in Nashim and Nezikin, so it could be. In later years, by the way, that is not the case. In later years, the learning of Kachim became much more revived by Brisk, by the Chavetz Chaim, but there was a lot of time where Kachim did not get as much attention. Aval Levina, what?
I just wanted to know, how did salt get into the flour before the salt was put there?
What do you mean? It was around. It was around. How did a pebble get in?
Oh, right. Okay.
Says the Gemara. It was around and it fell in.
They sifted it 13 times.
I know, but afterwards the wind blew it in. Aval Levina, but frankincense, the ikva b'hadei mincha meikara, it's put with the mincha all the way from the beginning, and it's used for the entire mincha. Ema tiskasher, I might say that it's not considered a foreign element. Kamash Malon. I just want to say a special akaras atayv that we do have a minyan over here, and we should feel it. We should feel the addition of the Shechina, and that's thanks to, first of all, Gedalia could have said, I said I wasn't coming already, so he's not even going to accept, but he made it his business to come. He brought the Shechina with him. Reb Halpert is here. He brings the Shechina with him, and Reb Elia came all the way from far to join us. The None of this Tuesday night excuse business. It's close enough that if you have to go home, you go home. Now, we said a kmitza that's less or that's more is puzzle. So the question is, it seems to be that this disqualification is that, and here we explain that the reason why, if it has a pebble in it, it's no good, is because it's chaser. It's missing. But says the Gemara, there should be another reason why the pebble makes it no good, and that is the pebble should be a chatzitza. It should be an interposition. So the Gemara says, "Ma'yer yemishum chaser v'yeser v'teifik lei mishum chatzitza." It should be a problem of an interposition. Reb Yirmiyah min atzad. It's on the side, so it doesn't interpose with the rest of the mincha, and therefore it's not a problem of a chatzitza. So now we're going to get into the logistics of how we do the kmitza. Now, first let me tell you how it's done. The kmitza is done by taking the middle three fingers and cupping it on the palm, putting the hand vertically into the flour until it fills up, and then using the thumb and the pinky to level it so it should be an exact handful. That's the way it's done. However, that's a scoop. But the Gemara now goes through the motions over here. Amalei Abaye l'Rava Keitzad Kaimsim. So Rava initially says, Amalei Kidikamtse Inche. Like people take a handful, which then would include also the pinky. Because when people take the handful, they include the pinky too. So the Gemara says that can't be. It doesn't include the pinky. As the Gemara tells us, Esvei, Zu Zeres, the pinky is called the Zeres, and the function of the pinky is that the choshen, the breastplate, was a Zeres by a Zeres. The breastplate that was worn by the Kohen Gadol was a Zeres by a Zeres, and that means the span from the thumb to the pinky. So we need the pinky to give us that span from the thumb to the pinky. Zu kmitza, the finger next to the pinky, is the one that was used to start the handful, because they only closed three fingers. So that's clearly not like Rava, right? Zu amma, the middle finger is called the amma, because the measure of the amma is from the elbow till the tip of the middle finger. Zu etzpa, etzpa, the finger next to the thumb, that was used when they dipped the blood, the finger into the blood by the chatas, for example. And zu gaidel, and the thumb is the gaidel, which was used in the purification of the Mitzayra, to put it on his big thumb, big toe, but that was the thumb. Also was used in the inauguration ceremony of the Kohanim at the Mishkan. So we see clearly over here that the kmitza, which is the finger next to the pinky, is where we started the kmitza. Therefore, says the Gemara, when Rava meant it, he meant ela lahashvos. The pinky was used only to level it out. As we said, the thumb and the pinky leveled it out. So heichi avid, what was the procedure? Amar Azuter Batuvia Amar Rav Chayfa Shloish Etzba'osav. He covers his three fingers at Shemagia al Pas Yadai until he covers the palm of the hand. V'kaimetz, he sticks it in vertically in the flour, and he takes what's inside. Tanya Nami Hachi Miloi Kumsai, a full handful. Yacham Avuritz, I might think it's even a heaping. Tamalayma Bikumsai, only an exact handful. I might think that you could take even with the tips of your fingers. Therefore, it should be a full handful. Haketzad chayfa shloish etzba'osav al pas yadai. He covers his 3 fingers on the palm. V'kaimetz. Now, by the machbas and the marcheshes, by the griddle mincha and by the deep fried mincha, they take the kmitza when it's already pieces, and therefore to level it off when it's already pieces, and to still have an exact amount, to break it with your finger, with your thumb and your finger, but to keep the full amount inside is a very hard thing to do. And this is the avodah kasher in the mikdash. Says the Gemara, Zehu b'sulai. Is this the only hard avodah in the mikdash? Va'ika malika, where he holds with his fingers the feet and the wings, and then takes his finger and pierces it with the in the back of the neck, all with one hand. That's a very hard avodah to do. And va'ika chafina, in order to, he had to fill his 2 hands, and he had to get it out of the ladle, the ketairis, and bring it into his 2 hands. So some say he did it with his teeth, rotating the ladle with his teeth, and some say he did it with the tips of the fingers. So this was a very hard avodah.
This is not illegal. Illegal is separate.
The ladle is separate.
Oh.
Says the Gemara, v'ike chafina, elazui achas me avodas kasher shebemikdash. This is one of the hard avodas in the mikdash. Now, before I go any further, it would be an insult not to welcome in such an amazing item as we welcome in Saba Mel Zachter, Dr. Guy, Yaakov Warman, Mel Kushner, Marshall Castle, who's sitting there the whole time smiling with his radiant smile, Ruvain Pollack, Shelley Zeitlin, Shimon Klein, Yitzi Fuchs, Baruch Ian, Gabriel Epstein, Yisrael Fisher, A.B. Spry, Dr. Block, Mark Frankel, Menachem Umansky, Nachman Chapler, Michael, Irving Fishbaum, Chaim Lerner, Itchy, Rabbi Kranz, Moshe Lehman, Eddie Chazan, Stephen Holtzman, Yehuda Solomon, who we miss over here very much. I know he has special circumstances. He has his grandson with him, Ilya Shutman, Avi Ament, Itzi Muller, Abe Arbach, David Helfgott, 33 Zoomers, not bad. And we are missing a lot of people. Richard Rosenzweig isn't here, but Eddie Chazan is not here yet tonight. Boy, he's having fun in Orlando. And here in Shul we have Reb Elia Yafi, Ruvain Shanit, Reb Halpert, Iran, Danny Vogel, Chol Avram, Chaim, Gedalia, and Berish to make a beautiful minyan here in the Shul. Says the Gemara, Amra Papa, Pshitali, it's obvious to me that Maloi Kumtzai, when it says a handful, it means Kidikumtzai Inche, putting your hand in vertical. But what about if you do it differently? Baira Papa, Kamatz Barashi Etzba'osav Mai. What if you scoop it? You take little scoops with your finger and fill up the palm. Instead of cupping it over the palm and pushing it in, you scoop it with your fingers and fill up the palm. Or minat stadim, instead of taking from the middle of the keli, you take from the side of the keli. Or mimata lamalamai, what if you put your fingers, dug it in to the bottom of the flour, and then scooped it up that way? What's the din? So the Gemara says, teku, tishbi yataretz kushas v'bayis. And I just want to point out how exact the procedure was b'Messiah in the Beis HaMikdash. Everything was exact. You know, Marshall in the car shop, you could do it this way, you could do it that way. There's different ways that are acceptable to do it. No, that's not true?
Not if you want to survive the work, no.
No, isn't there different ways to do things?
Yeah, the right way and the wrong way, basically.
I thought not that way. I thought that, in most things, There are different ways to do something, yes.
I don't understand this last, so that says Tico. It's not like you're supposed to do it. Why is it also? It was very definite how you're supposed to do it.
No, what the question of the Gemara is this only the common way it was done, but it's acceptable doing it other ways also? Or is it dafka? We're not sure.
During a tax return, there's a lot of freeway.
Soon we'll find out.
Amir Hashem, Bekar of Mamish. Now I'm thinking, I'm using like a chess as an example. You know, in a chess game, there's very many different ways to handle a position. And it's acceptable to do it this way, it's acceptable to do it that way. Even in medical procedures, there are different ways to go about a medical procedure. But in the Beis Hamikdash, everything was exact. There was an exact way of doing things. Now here again, remember we needed 2 handfuls of Ketores for Yom Kippur. So again, the Kohen put his hands together and scooped up all that was necessary. The pshitali melo chafnav kidechafnei inshe. It's the way people usually do it, right? However, what if he gathered it, scooped it slowly with the tips of his fingers until it filled up? Again, what happens if he took it from the side instead of from the middle of the keli? What if he scooped it up with each hand separately, and then and he brought them close together? What's the din? Again, take tishbi ataretz kushas v'bayis. Papa. Now we know that there's a din of kidesh bekeli, that after Yitz takes the kmitza, he's supposed to then be mekadesh it and put it into a klei sharis. What happens, just because Yitzi, likes variety, what happens instead of him putting it on the bottom of the keli, he sticks it to the side wall of the keli. So what's the din then? What if he sticks it to the side of the keli? Toich klibainen is the main thing, that it should be in the keli. It is in the keli. And he has to put it on the bottom. It's not on the bottom. Take it. Now this is something that Marshall will do. Marshall sometimes stands on his head. So, let's say Marshall, instead of putting it in the keli, he takes the keli, turns it upside down, and it sticks to the bottom of the keli. Right? So it is in the keli. I know, Marshall, I can't figure it out either. But I want to tell you something. It's such an interesting thing. Last night after the shir, my brother-in-law made a wedding. So I went over to the wedding, and my brother-in-law, as you see, Shmuley, is a real Chassidish. So, the women and the men are completely separated, it's completely separated. It just happened to be, my mother-in-law is in a wheelchair, so when I arrived, my wife was handling the wheelchair, and she came out and she pumped it. She met me. It was very nice. I met her. She saw I arrived, and it was very nice. A man comes over to me. I never saw him ever. And he gives me a hug, and he says, I want you to know that I learned the majority of Shas with you. But then he told me something else. He says when he uses his chavrusas, he uses the same names that I use. So he says, I use Marshall and I use Eddie. When he says, when we learn, we use the same name. So Marshall, you're famous in the halls of Lakewood. It's unbelievable.
It's great.
It was really funny. It was really funny. You know who else he mentioned, which Marshall knows because I know Marshall used to do it on the bike. He mentioned Aaron Finkelstein. You remember Aaron Finkelstein, right?
Oh, yeah. I met him. It was great.
Where did you meet him?
At a festa in Chicago.
Oh, in Chicago, right. So
His sister was making one.
my success 35 years in Borough Park is due to Aaron Finkelstein. Because I couldn't maintain going to Borough Park every night. I had winnings, he took it upon himself to get a pinch hitter every time I needed to take off. That was the only way that shir had a kiyum. I'll say it openly. I last time I'm having a little trouble sleeping still because I have pain in the night, and so last night trying to fall asleep, I listened to a podcast. Reb Efren Goldberg was doing a podcast with Reb Eli Stefanski, and Yaakov Warman's other Rebbe. So Eli Stefanski said, when Reb Efren Goldberg asked him, you have shir with so many people, so he said the shir exists only because he has a team. And it's true. For successful big shiurim, you need to have a team. It can't go by itself. So part of my team, like I would never be able to have articles in all the different magazines without Shelley. He's part of my team. You have to have. So Aaron was part of my team. Whenever you're finished, gentlemen.
Dov Schechter was part of your team. I don't know if did you meet Dov? Dov Schechter now he was in Lakewood, but he lived in Kensington. He was one of your pinch hitters.
Yeah. I didn't know what you meant. Yeah, I had a lot of choshev, Rabbi Emmert, Rabbi Steinwurzel. I had a lot of very choshev pinch hitters that used to pinch hit for the share. So now let's get back to Marshall. If he turned around the keli, the dafke lekaimetz bar isa demanamai, and now because he turned it around, the kmitza got stuck to the bottom of the keli. So the question is, does that constitute? So the Gemara says, it needs to be inside the keli. Va'ika, it is inside the keli. Dilma, what I always tell Marshall, you have to put it inside to the bottom, and not that it's the top. Veleka, and then you don't have it. So the Gemara says, take it. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry. Hanacha b'seicha beinan v'ika. Dilma, like I said, as I always tell Marshall, kisiknai ba'inan. You have to do it the normal way. And that's not the normal way. Take your tishbi ataretz b'kushas v'bayis. Now, the next Mishnah starts off, Keitzad hu oisa, how do you do the kmitza? Paishit etzba'is al pas yada, you take your 3 fingers and you put it over the palm of your hand. Riba shamna. Now, the oil is a loig shel shemen, a loig of oil. If riba shamna, if you put in too much oil, or chisa shamna, you put in too less oil, or chisa levainasa, or you're missing entirely the frankincense, psula. The Gemara points out it doesn't say anything about if there's extra frankincense. So the Gemara says, heichi dami riba shamna. What's considered too much oil? It's supposed to be a loig shemen. Amar Rabbi Lazar kigain shehifresh lo shnei loigin. Now the Gemara thinks that Rabbi Lazar says you only disqualify it if you put in a double amount. In other words, it's supposed to have one leg, and you put in 2 legs, it's no good. But if you put in a little bit more, a leg and a half, that's okay. Says the Gemara, why? V'lukma k'gain da'arav b'Hashem and d'chulin, that you...
Why? Okay, everybody's good. Volume.
We really got to get people to says the Gemara, V'lukma ba, why don't you learn k'gain da'arav b'Hashem and d'chulin? He added some extra oil. He had some olive oil in the house from Hanukkah. Or b'Shem and d'chaverta, or took off some oil from another mincha, even a smaller amount. Why only a light shemen? That a small amount doesn't disqualify. But Maskva of Zutra Bar Tovia, if you only disqualify it with an amount of oil that's fit for a mincha, then how could you disqualify a minchas chayte with oil? Because a minchas chayte doesn't have oil. Idida, if it's oil that you designated for it, halesa, a minchas chayte is not supposed to have oil. Either chulin v'der chaverta, or if it's for chulin, or from another mincha, ha'amrit loy pasul. You said that if it's not a shear that would be fit for a mincha, it doesn't disqualify. Rather, says the Gemara, scratch that pshat. A little amount definitely disqualifies. Rabbi Lazar loy mibai kamar, he builds up to a climax. Loy mibai the chulin or the chaverta the pasul. If you took some oil from Hanukkah, or oil, a little bit of oil from another mincha, the pasul. Aval hifrish lo shnei lugin. Since either lug would have been good, I might think that since either one would be good, if you put both in, it doesn't disqualify. Each one would be fit for it. So kamash malan, it has to be just a lug and not more. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Lazar, how does Rabbi Lazar know this din? That even if you use oil that was mukdish for this mincha, Amar Rava masnisin kashise. Ma'yir yodetani riba shamna. Why does it say that he increased shamna har oil? Lisnei riba kol shemen. If it increased oil, why shamna har oil? Elohak kamash malan the afal gav the hifrish lo shnei lugan. Shamna meaning that each one would be fit for it, because a leg would be, this leg would be fit for it, and this leg would be fit for it. It's still not good. Now, kisa levaynasa, if it's lacking frankincense. Now, the Gemara says the amount of frankincense that you're supposed to use is a handful, a kmitza of frankincense. Remember, I told you a frankincense was a sap from a tree that hardened. So the normal amount is a handful. So Tan Rabbanan, chasra v'omda al kairid echad psula. If it's lacking and all you have left is 1 granule, it's no good. Al shnei kratin ksheira. But if it's 2 granules, it is good. He holds that 2 granules is good. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Reb Shimon Aimer al kairid echad ksheira. Even 1 granule is good. Pachas mikan. If it's less than 1 granule, it's psula. It's possible. So here we have opinion that says that 2 granules is good, and we have opinion that says that 1 granule is good. Says the Gemara, Vatanya, we learned Kaimet Slavana Shechisur Kolshu Pasul, a Kmitz of Levina that's lacking even a little bit is Pasul. So he says, no, change it not to the handful is missing. If 1 granule is missing a little bit, Tani Kairet Levana Shechisur Kolshu Pasul, V'Iba Yisema, there's 2 types of karbanas. There's the levina that accompanies a mincha, and then there's if Michal Avram says Hari Alai Kaimitz Levina. You could offer an independent carbon of levina. So the Iba is saying Mekan b'levina haba mincha. There, it's enough even if it's one granule. Kan b'levina haba b'fnei atzma. If you're offering an offering of levina, of frankincense, then it has to be whole. Now the Gemara tells us that there is actually three opinions on this question. There's three opinions. Rabbi Meir you need a full handful in the beginning, and you need a complete handful at the end. It can't be missing at all. Rabbi Yehuda it's enough if you have a full handful in the beginning and just 2 granules at the end. Reb Shimon Saimer Kaimitz Betchila, you need a full kmitz in the beginning, and 1 granule at the end. Ushloshton mikra echad darshim, and all 3 of them expound the same pasuk. It says ve'is kolash olavayna asher ala mincha, all the frankincense which is upon the mincha. Rameir sava adi isal olavayna the ikva v'adi mincha meikar. He learns you need kolav olavayna asher ala mincha. You need the whole amount that was originally designated on the mincha from the beginning. Rabbi Yehuda Savar Kol comes to tell me any amount, which is 1 granule. Vafilu chad karet. But then it says the es kol. The es comes to include that you need a 2nd granule. Es l'rabis karet achad. That's why you need 2 granules. Reb Shimon es lo'idarish, and therefore he says it's enough 1 granule. Amar Reb Yitzchak bar Yosef Amar Reb Yochanan machlokes. Only with the frankincense that accompanies the mincha. But like we explained, if Gedalia brings, and he says, Hari alai levina, he wants to bring a offering of frankincense, it has to be full in the beginning and full at the end. That's why it says that which is together with the mincha. The bahadi mincha in. It's okay if it's missing where it's together with the mincha. But not if you bring it by itself. There it has to be whole. That's the frankincense that comes with the 2 spoonfuls that accompany the lechem upon him. It has to be full in the beginning, it has to be full at the end. Says Gemara Pshita, it's obvious. I know. Mao the same akaven the bahadi lechem asya, since it accompanies the bread of the lechem upon him. Kasher ala mincha dami. It should be like the levina that accompanies the mincha, and it could be missing at the end. Kamash malon. However, it's actually a machlokes. Machlokes is with the levina that accompanies the mincha, but the levina that comes by itself, you need the full amount in the beginning and the full amount at the end. Even by the levina, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it would be enough if there's 2 granules. According to Reb Shimon, it would be enough if there's 1 granule. If it's lacking frankincense, it's possible. Now, as I pointed out when we learned the Mishnah, it says it's only no good when it's lacking. But if it's extra, it's good. Says the Gemara, when is it possible? That's if it's where you separate instead of 1 handful, 2 handfuls. But if it's a little bit extra, it's okay. Let's say you separated 2 handfuls for the mincha, and one of them got lost before you did the kmitza. So then we discount it. because it's the kmitza that locks it in. So if it got lost before the kmitza, lo yukfu, it didn't get locked in, and it's not a problem. Achar kmitza, but if it got lost after the kmitza, then hukfu, then it got locked in, and it's disqualified because of being too much. Rami Bachama. Now we go to the spoonfuls by the lechem apon. Rabbi Chama, hifrish arba kmotzim l'shnei bazichen. If you separated 4 handfuls for the 2 spoons instead of 2 handfuls, v'avdu shnayim mehem koydem slik bazichen, but you lost 2 of them before you removed the spoons from the shulchan on Shabbos, no problem. Lo yukfu. La'achar silik bazichen, if you lost it, but it was after you removed the spoons, then it's too late. It got locked in, it was yeser, and it's puzzle. Then hukfu, and it's puzzle. So the Gemara says it's the same concept. Hasu lamali. I might think that when you're ready to remove it, we had this idea, once you're ready to remove it, it could be considered as if you removed it already. And if it's still there when you're ready to remove it, I might think it's no good. And isn't it the same thing? Now the same, the berir kaimitzdida, since each of the 4 handfuls are clear, are designated, Kavan shegias mana lefarka, once it came the time to remove it, I might think command the parke dame, it's as if you already removed it, it's locked in, and it should be puzzle. Kamash malan, it's only puzzle when you remove it. What a special daf. I want to point out that right now we're going to have for the Shabbos table, after we set up. Did you want to ask me something?
To remove it, I don't understand what we're referring to.
When we move it is on Shabbos, we do the change of the lechem aponim, and we take the spoonfuls off the shulchan and burn it on the mizbeach.
The one was inside the spoonful, isn't it?
Yes.
So how does it work? We had 4 kmatzim, 2 inside and 2 someplace else?
Or clearly on top of it.
On top of what?
On top of the heaping up the spoon.
Like each one had 2
Right.
corners?
Right. It was heaped up.
What time
Matzah Shabbos is at 8 o'clock. Again, I like to start announcing it early because sponsorships are not coming very quickly. That we need a sponsor for B'Shalach, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Remember, if you didn't watch it yet, there's a beautiful share, Bo Gems, which is on Torah Anytime on Kol and on YouTube.
Excellent show. Excellent show.
Reb Chanani ben Akasha Amar Ratzak